morning, everybody. Welcome to Board Game Breakfast. I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Wendy Yee.
I'm Chris Yee.
The one and only Board Game Breakfast each week. It's only on Mondays now.
I'm going to use that as a bragging point.
The one and all.
What is the loneliest number?
No, it's the best
That makes
number.
no
the
sense.
best number.
Not when you're number one. You're number one. One is okay.
We are
Anyhow.
currently the number one rated breakfast-related board gaming show on YouTube. That airs at 9 o'clock Eastern.
Actually,
That's true.
you could have stopped that Board Game Breakfast show. I think no one's competing with us on that.
I want to know how much fiber is in that bowl of meeples.
A couple things we want to announce. First of all, there's a contest. This episode is sponsored by Pandasaurus Games, and we have a contest for a game called Wildstyle, in which apparently you are trying to break the law by tagging things, like Miles Morales did in the first Spider-Verse movie, of which I'm excited, looking for the second. That's a very long, roundabout way to win this game, which is kind of a real-time...
Tag Tom's it. No tag backs.
It's with... spray paint, bunch of city people. I am a city person. Hicks, I guess, is the word. Anyway, it's a speed. It's a speed area control style game. We're trying to accomplish different things. Check it out. Anyway, you can win a copy of this game, and to enter this contest, you need to just email us below at contest@dicetower.com. In the subject line, put the word map. In the body, we need two things. We need your address, so if you win, we can send you the game. And secondly, we need you to answer the question, how many tags do you get per round to place out in this game?
Tag.
I don't remember what the number is. It's somewhere from like 6 to 10. So that narrows it
You
down.
heard it here first.
Way to spoiler.
The answer is somewhere between 1 and 7,000.
No, there's a decent amount.
The
But
answer is a number.
I don't remember what the number is.
It's not an imaginary number.
Anyway, so that's one thing.
It's a real one.
Secondly, we have merch coming from the Dice Tower. So we have a merch site set up. We announced this on Board Game Smorgasbord last week, and it will be live this coming Thursday. We'll have links and stuff to that, so keep an eye out for that if you want to get t-shirts and hats and stuff for the Dice Tower. It's also a way to support the Dice Tower. Thirdly, Dice Tower Cruise. I was just talking to Jason, and we are down to 20 rooms on the cruise, and we have many people who are planning to buy some of these rooms we talked to. So if you're interested in coming to Dice Tower Cruise, don't delay. And Dice Tower West registration is open. Dice Tower East registration opens up November 1st, so keep an eye out for that too. So there's a lot of stuff going on in regards to Dice Tower events because it's time to start planning next year. I made the calendar on Friday of sorts. Then I forgot to take it home to show my wife. But yeah, so that's coming up. Let's see, blah, 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 blah. I think that's all
Tom's
they...
still it at the moment.
The what?
I guess
Tom's
so.
still it at
I
the
know.
moment. I just want to clarify that.
Anyway, dodgeball or freeze tag. This is why I picked dodgeball in a game I just played over the weekend. All right, let's keep going.
Hi, it's Tarrant.
And Stella from Meeple University. Look what I've got in my hand, Taryn. Terracotta Army.
Terracotta Army.
This is the new release from Board and Dice. Picked it up at Gen Con. It'll be a good, one of the most anticipated SN as well released. And this is an amazing game. Because, keep going.
You say.
Because of that worker placement that is, I don't know, there's a lot of interesting mechanics of worker placement in the, I'm tempted to say rondel, but...
It's a circular, it's interlocking discs that become sets of 3 actions by rotating them.
The tile placement is very interesting with area control.
Yes.
You go.
Yeah, it struck me as a very simple game when I was learning it because there's only one resource, or there's 2 resources. There's coins and clay. We're so used to having 5 resources in every game we do, but you know the way you get them seemed really straightforward, but it ends up there's lots of different ways you can build your engine on the worker placement, and then there's lots of different ways that you can score points and manipulate things in the tile placement. So it ends up being a really, it's been a while since I played a tile placement that seemed to have that many different options that changed as the game went through its length.
Indeed.
So I found that really, really interesting to play.
Have you looked into that? Have you even played it? Let us know. And that's it. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
Hello, Proti here, your Romanian content creator, and today I will continue my series where I will talk about a specific part of a game, and today we will talk about Libertalia Winds of Galecrest. In Libertalia, you have a crew of members of pirates, let's say, that you will send out with the crew members of the other players in different voyages so that they get loot and get money, so that you are getting the, let's say, the richest pirate boss on the island. And actually what is happening during the game, you play every day, everybody is choosing simultaneously a pirate card that they want to send out on the specific voyage of that specific day. And there are, let's say, two aspects. You have the rank, which is showing in which order you place them in the specific voyage, because then afterwards you will take loot tokens and activate abilities in a specific order. And what I find interesting is one specific, let's say all the characters are interesting, but one that I wanted to discuss, which I find really interesting, is the recruiter. Has a 25 here and has the day ability, play a character from your hand directly to your ship. And I find this recruiter really useful and really flexible to use if you have some different characters which have nice end of night abilities or end of voyage abilities and so on, so that that anchor, exactly, so anchor abilities, because usually those have some negative, let's day or dusk abilities, and you actually, by playing this recruiter and playing that card, yes, you get rid of a card from your hand, but you can put this card directly into your ship and then benefit of the big, for example, there is a card where you have to discard half of your doubloons, and afterwards, at the end of the voyage, you get 10 doubloons. But if you play it with the recruiter directly into your ship, then those lose half of your doubloons is not, or half of your money is not happening. And that's why I find it really interesting to use really strategically this recruiter and see exactly what cards you have, and if you can use him so that you can get more benefits and avoid the negative things which those characters usually bring with them. So this is what I wanted to discuss about Libertalia Winds of Galecrest. Have a nice breakfast.
All right, today's 20 years ago game, we're talking about a game I make people play at conventions called Magical Athlete, which incidentally on Board Game Geek is ranked 3,473, which is pretty high comparatively, considering it is a roll and move game. Now this
Also, it looks like that.
You're winning me over.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible. I always show off the board because I'm amused by the board. It is a
particularly
roll
good
and
picture.
move game. You roll a die, move your guy around the board. The first person to get to the end wins. That's the game, except everyone has special powers, and that's what makes the game crazy and interesting. It was originally came out from Japan brand, then Z-Man picked it up about a decade ago, I want to say. 12 years ago. That was my review, 12 years ago. I've been in America that long now. Anyhow, so I love this game, like really love this game, but it is stupid, it's crazy, but also every time I teach it to people, I would say about 90% of them also enjoy it.
Yeah, I've still never played this one.
Yeah, I've not either.
I do like that combination of stupid, zany, wacky.
If you know what you're getting into.
Yes, yeah. I wouldn't want to be trying to play, Lacrimosa, and you're like, here's this.
No, and in
spell.
fact,
do
I get
weird-ass
annoyed
stuff.
about that, like when we played that Titanic game and they put that wacky stuff in, I'm like, why? Now, don't get me wrong, it's not wacky stuff like you have to sing when you move. It's just that you have these crazy powers.
Right.
It's like a very reduced cosmic encounter. Mm-hmm. Like your character on his turn, if someone else rolls a 6, he goes an extra space. That's it. Or on my turn, I can switch space with someone else on the board instead of rolling the dice. But when you combine all this stuff, it's just stupid.
I'm moving here, you're
It's
doing
fun.
that.
One person's moving backwards. One person kills someone if they land on them. I'm amused by that sort of thing, and it's a lot of fun. Reprint. This was supposed to be reprinted in the year 2020. It did not happen for some
With
odd
better
reason.
art.
I do not know the current status of it. I keep pushing on it. I know I don't even know if I'm supposed to say who has the rights to it, but I know who has the rights to it. And I'm hoping they reprint it. If they don't get it done within, let's say, a year or so, I'm going to start hunting it down myself. I'll go
You're
to the
going to be a
designer.
publisher.
Do you-
Yeah.
You talk about this. Sometimes we see a reprint of a game, and we're happy to see it reprinted. Palaces of Carrara, Princes of Florence, these types of things. And sometimes, and I would say a lot of times actually, they don't sell terribly well.
No, there is that. I get that. I don't know how well this would sell, but I'm still pushing for the reprint. But the reprint, like this game came with like 24 maybe different characters. It should have 100.
Does this have a cult following the way that some of the other games
No.
that get reprinted have?
This is a Tom
This
Vasel
is just a
following.
Tom Vasel.
But the person who's reprinting it also really loves it.
Okay.
And I think with the right push, it could do well.
Okay.
Do okay.
There you go.
Sell enough copies to make it worth it.
You're basically saying you're an influencer, Tom. You're going to make it happen.
I have never once called myself an influencer. That shall not start today. Alrighty, anyway, it's Magical Athlete. If you find a copy of this, it really is worth your while. Looks terrible, sounds terrible, but it's fun.
Hey everybody,
Hello, we are Ryan and Bethany.
from Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
All right, today, you guys, we're going to be talking about Soulmates. This is from Chile Island, which is like a division of Queen Games. So basically, in this game, it's kind of a party-style game. You are going to be given a question that you have to answer about yourself. It's going to say, like, what is your favorite meal of the day? And you have to, answer privately, but then everyone else at the table is also going to answer that. And on top of that, they're going to guess what they thought that you answered the question as. Tons of trivia amongst each other, trying to figure out how each other guessed things. Ultimately trying to figure out who is your soulmate, who knows you the best, and who do you know the best. Big party-style game. It says 2 to 5 players. 3 to 5 is where it's better. 2 is kind of like this weird cooperative thing.
Yeah.
You can ignore that.
Okay, so this game frustrated the fudge out of me. I was so mad when we were playing it because,
Watch your language.
like Ryan said, you're saying like you're guessing for yourself, but they decide on the cards to not phrase it like that. They say your soulmate did this. Which one of this is it? A, B, C, or D? So I'm thinking my soulmate. Ryan's my soulmate. So what did he do? And Ryan was like, no, that's not what the card is asking. You choose for you. And like, I am choosing for me because my soulmate is you. This like circle went around forever, and I understood eventually, but I was so frustrated because that's not what the card asked. And it even says like in the game like don't take the, what does it say, like don't
Don't
take
take the questions literally or figuratively. Just
but then don't write it like that. If you don't want me to, we are gamers here. That's all we do is
We're literal
like,
rule book followers.
Yes. Oh gosh, I was so frustrated. I'm sure there's something really fun here, but I was too frustrated to get to the fun part.
Yeah, I think there is a good time in here if you're looking for an icebreaker, maybe in a small group or a church setting, or maybe a double date night, something like that. I think that's a good icebreaker to figure out how people think and what people, because there's also discussion between questions, right? Yeah. After you ask a question, you're like, I thought breakfast was your favorite meal. And they're like, no, it was lunch. And you have a discussion about why that is. I don't know. It's a good icebreaker kind of a game. If that's not your thing, like it wasn't our thing, that's fine. It's a pass for us. Yeah. But at the same time, there's some merit here if you're looking for one of those kinds of games.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you want to hear more from us, make sure to find us on Facebook or YouTube. We are Ryan and Bethany at Board Game Reviews. Everybody, this is Ryan and Bethany. Hoping you have a happy, healthy breakfast.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
All right, so let's take a look at what we got here. So today and tomorrow and Wednesday, we're going to do We'll Play It Live. But we're not telling you what game we're playing. You'll just have to come back and find out what it is at 10 o'clock.
Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
What are you nudging?
That's not... You guys are really off on your references today. That is not... Okay, anyhow.
Who's this you guys?
No, you were off before, earlier, with the tag thing.
You're still it, Tom.
Okay, so anyhow...
I started the tag.
Anyhow, so we're doing We'll Play It Live. At the Table, episode 12 is happening today, and that's at 3 p.m., so come back for that live. I'll be doing Q&A somewhere around noon, depending on how long our first game goes.
Whatever game that may be.
We're back to...
Hint, wink.
Stop with that. We also have lots of other things going up this week. We're reviewing San Francisco. We're reviewing Block and Key. We're reviewing... Deal with the Devil, maybe. We're reviewing Endless Winter, maybe. We're reviewing Mythic Mischief and Lunar Base, for sure. and that old wallpaper, Ghost Love Candy. On Thursday, we'll be talking about our top 10 ridiculous games, which, by the way, you can go right now to our website and vote on your favorite for ridiculous games. And, there's a We'll Play It Live on Thursday, too. There's lots of We'll Play It Lives this week. We're going to be playing a lot of new games from Essen, so we hope you enjoy that. Anyhow, that's what's coming from the Dice Tower this week. Let's keep moving.
In this segment, we take a look at games and why we're keeping them and why we're getting rid of them and which ones we should purge. So one of the things I like to do also is sit down with my children and I make like a top 10, 20 games of the games that we have. Okay, these are your top 10 or 20. Then I know that I'm not going to get rid of those games and maybe I should get those back on the table a little bit more often with the children because these are games that they enjoy. So not only am I spending time with them going over games and learning about them, I'm also finding games maybe they don't like, maybe that we could get rid of and cull out of the collection. Or I might take a game and like, she's like, I don't even remember this game. Great. Let's put it to the table now and find out if you like it or not. So it's also an opportunity to game with your kids. And my kids really like the gamification of this. They really like numbering their top games and going through with me. They have their own little shelf that they put their games on. And even though they're family games and if some other kid wanted to play, it's fine. But this is their shelf. And they like having their little shelf that they go through. I have conversations with them. We're putting games immediately on the table. Let's try this one out and see if you've aged out of it or see if you still like it. I might not verbalize that to them, but that's what I'm thinking of. Then you can go through with your kids and figure out, I don't have all the components for that anymore because they lost it. That's an easy one to put in the old trash bin, right? And you're just constantly going through this, having these opportunities to play with your kids. So that conversation can be really strong to go through a children's collection and see what you're going to keep and see what you're going to get rid of. I hope this helps. I hope you use this opportunity to sit down with your kids and have these discussions and build that love for board gaming. Thanks for watching this week.
Good morning, Board Game Breakfast. My name is Amanda Polk, and I'm usually here to talk to you about a game that I'm really looking forward to playing in the future and what I'm going to play in the meantime to kind of scratch that same itch, because there's a lot of games out there. But I wanted to spend the last few weeks of the year running through some games that I've gotten to play that I really looked forward to and what I thought of them. So this week is First Rat. This is a game about space exploration that is junkyard themed. You're playing as rats and you're going up a track. I've gotten to play this a few times with people and did a little review of it, and I think it's really great. This is one that I think is going to stick around for me because it fills a good sort of like mid-weight, fun, approachable game without feeling the same as a lot of other things. I think I've played a lot of cute sort of order fulfillment resource gathering games, but this with its different movement mechanism where you're either moving a single rat further or multiple rats shorter distances makes the movement a little more of a puzzle, but it's not so hard of a puzzle that you're struggling with, people having analysis paralysis. It plays pretty quickly. It goes very comfortably up to 5 players, and I think still plays well at that player count. So I've really enjoyed First Rat. It is staying in my collection, and that's all for me. Have a great breakfast. Bye.
All right, as we do each week, we'll take a look at a shelf in the library and tell you our favorite games. Here's the shelf.
I can already tell you what my favorite game is.
All right, shelf 1B here has Dream Home on it, a drafting game about building a nice house, having the rooms in your house. Then we have 2 games here set in the same universe. The more popular one is Seasons, a game where you draft cards and play cards by drafting dice. Lords of Zidit is kind of a programming style game, moving around the board trying to get points. Tobago is a pretty popular deduction style game where you kind of are looking for buried treasure, but you're also showing where the buried treasure is. Then we have Walls of York. This is essentially a roll and write game, but with plastic pieces as you build up your little area. In the Hall of the Mountain King, this game with extremely high production does some interesting things. A little bit of polyomino action, but mostly it's about cascading trolls. Iki, which we just talked about last week in our most beautiful covers, this is a reprint of a game in which you're moving someone around a marketplace and collecting resources in a really interesting way. Flotilla is a game here I haven't played. I know it's a fairly complex game set like in a water world type thing. Dice Hospital is a game in which dice are sick and you're coming in on ambulances and you need to heal them. Nyctophobia is a horror-themed game where one person's like a horror, a mass murderer coming after you, and they do so by just touch. Like a blind person can play this game. Lord of the Rings here is the classic Reiner Knizia game, one of the first cooperative games on the market. Lord of the Rings Confrontation, also from Knizia. This is a 2-player, like a Stratego type game. Hunt for the Ring is another War of the Ring game. I like putting them all together here. And this one is kind of a one versus all, Mr. X, Scotland Yard style game. Quantum is a space game in which you move dice around. Dice are the spaceships. And then finally, Candemir, which I'm actually debating pulling out of the library because no one ever plays it, is like a role-playing game of sorts set in the Catan universe. But that does mean your actions are going around and chopping woods and things like that. All right, so of these games...
Nice outro.
Of like that.
Yep.
I don't need to do an outro. All right, what's your favorite of this shelf?
Well, by default, the only one I've played is Dream Home. So
On that whole shelf?
On that whole shelf. I know. I don't know what happened, but...
You've never played Seasons?
Nope.
Wow.
I haven't played Seasons either. I played Lords of Zidit on Board Game Arena. It's cute. It's fun.
Yeah.
I'm kind of torn, Tom. On one hand, I like Quantum a lot. On the other hand, I played it with Dan Hughes, who complained his way into victory. So, I don't know, I'm torn on that. But Iki is so good.
Well, while Chris is debating, it's Iki for me, for sure.
Yeah?
I love that game. It's one of the best Euro games out there. It's a rondel of sorts. Because you're moving your guy around a track, but it's a rondel that makes sense because you're visiting various shops and buying things. And if you can upgrade the shops, you can own the shops. So other people stop in there, gives you a benefit. And it's also gorgeous. The theme, I don't know. It's one of those games where a Euro game and a theme work really well together. Really well.
It's one of the best player boards that, having not played it for several months, someone at one of the retreats or conventions on the asked, hey, can you teach this? I looked over the player board and I said, yeah, I can. It lays everything out.
It really does.
Nice.
You walk through and it shows you every step. The things you'll forget are on the board. The only thing that's slightly confusing is the possibility of fires, but that's something you can figure out like 1/3 of the game because it doesn't happen that often. Yeah, I really like it. I mean, otherwise I'd probably pick Confrontation or Seasons. This is a good shelf.
I did like Dream Home when I played it. It was a fun puzzle of what story do you put stuff on and how do you fit your rooms together so that you can score the most points.
I'll say a good word about Dream Home. I think it's a fantastic younger family weight game.
Yeah.
I think it's really well done. And the reason I was excited about Meadow when it came out is because on the back of the Meadow box said, from the designers of Dream Home. And I find that those designers together take something that could be very, very simple. Take a room, put it in your house somewhere, score if they're similar types of rooms. But they have that, I think you call it packet drafting, Tom, where you take 2 cards and you have to, if you're going to take it, you have to take both of them together.
Yeah.
And that's a really good choice in Dream Home. So I think that's a design team. Now that they've done Meadow, I think a lot of people are going to be looking out for them. But because of Dream Home, I was like, I'm looking out for them.
Yeah, I gave Dream Home a 7.5. I also enjoyed this one. All right, well, that's a good shelf. Come to one of our conventions and you can play the games on it. Let's keep going.
Hey there everyone, it's Jen the Board Game Librarian, flipping some pages and pushing some cubes in my segment from the page to the table where I pair books and board games and sometimes comics together. This week we are taking a look at probably a blast from the past for some folks, maybe new for other folks, and that is Asterix the Gaul, done by these fine folks up at the top. This was published in 1961. Kind of an old style comics where like Prince Valiant kind of thing. But here we have the year 50 BC and all of Gaul is occupied. But we're trying to stop and resist the mighty Roman legions of Julius Caesar. So we have kind of a historical, little funny, kind of zany comic here. If you didn't know, Caesar's Empire is based on the Asterix series. So this is 2 to 5 players, 30 to 60 minutes, ages 10 and up. And this edition is published by Holy Grail Games. So, first time playing this, I think I was a little like, what you are trying to do is kind of go off that adage, all roads lead to Rome. You are building roads, you are collecting resources for set collection, you are looking to collect coins to kind of maximize double points, and you are looking to have the most points at the end. I think this is a deceptive game because the first time you play it, you might be like, you really need to be paying attention to what your opponents are doing and then kind of like resist them getting points. I think it's definitely worth a look and I think you'll enjoy it. That's all for this week, friends. Happy breakfast.
Happy breakfast, everyone. This week I'm here to talk to you about Quacks & Co. Quedlinburg Dash, which is about as much of a name mouthful as the original Quacks of Quedlinburg. So this is the sequel, the family weight spin-off style game. Now, in this, again, you're going to be pulling from a bag, and those chips that you're pulling out are going to do different things, but mostly it's moving you along the racetrack. You are trying to basically end the race, get to the golden cauldron first. Now, there's a few changes. First of all, you take it in turns. Each player will be pulling one thing from the bag. You don't quite go bust either. Instead, you are pulling, and then when you pull out one of the weed tokens, you don't do anything that turn instead of moving forward and doing an action. It's got a really good way of introducing players as well, because in the base game you start with only 4 of the colours and you can quite quickly then add in the other 2, and then all of those colours have like a second way. You can turn those tiles over and they've got different actions, so you've got a variety of game in here. It's not, for many, I don't think, going to be enough though. It's definitely a lot lighter than Quacks of Quedlinburg, and I think for many people that's probably light enough. But I think still, some families with younger kids are going to enjoy this because it's got that fun of pulling from the bag, buying things and adding to your bag to make it better, and you've got a long and a short racetrack. So yeah, that is Quacks & Co. Quedlinburg Dash. It's a mouthful, it's fast and fun for families.
No. You almost got me, Vasel, but I dodged you. I was too fast.
She-Hulk.
Like the Flash.
A Marvel TV show just finished up their run last week, as it's several shows. I guess Lord of the Rings finished up, but I am like 4 episodes behind on that, so I got to catch up on that. And Andor's only halfway through, I believe, or something to that effect.
Is it really?
There's at least
Only halfway?
There's a bit. There's quite a few
I heard
more
there's
episodes.
12 episodes actually, so 6 would only be halfway through. Anyway,
Really liking it.
She-Hulk Attorney at Law is a comic. Is a comic book show, which is very similar to Deadpool in many ways, where the main character knows they're on a TV show. This is based on the She-Hulk comics, where this would happen occasionally. It did not happen as much as it happens in the TV show, which is like a lot. But it happened. This show is, if you take the Marvel Cinematic Universe seriously, which I don't think you should do, but if you want to take it seriously, you will hate this show straight out.
Just skip it straight out. Yeah.
Because there's nothing serious in this show, which is probably my biggest critique of the show, because I don't mind you winking at the camera. And in fact, the Deadpool movies, I don't know if you've seen them.
I've seen the first
we saw
one,
the first one.
on
so the
a
first one-
website. We were testing out one of those we'll censor movies.
Yes, okay, right.
Yeah. So just skipped a lot of chunks of scenes.
So I was like, let's try this with Deadpool.
Suddenly
and,
Deadpool's in a garbage
If it's funny,
can.
I did that years ago with Bad Boys, was my choice of. It's like, if they can censor Bad Boys, they can censor anything. Anyway. But Deadpool does the same thing. But Deadpool actually has a heartfelt story behind it to some degree. It barely gets there, but it does. And actually, both movies. She-Hulk does not have that heartfelt story, other than she's a woman, standing up and against annoying internet guys or whatever that might be. And I'm not here to argue about that, but it doesn't ever feel like she did many superhero-y things. She also, the show at the beginning goes, this is a lawyer show. You know what? It's not. The court cases, while they are the parts that I laugh the most at, because there's funny court case stuff throughout the series, I did not enjoy those as much because they were not interesting, and they took a character, and I'm spoiling stuff here, so skip ahead. Spoil. Okay, anyway, Daredevil shows up, and I thought they really changed the character of Daredevil tremendously to the point where I did not like him.
He's not even Ben Affleck anymore.
Well, okay, shut up. I'm not talking about Ben Affleck. I want to be really clear in that. But they really made him like a comic relief, which Daredevil in the Marvel comics is not comic relief. He's him and the Punisher are the farthest two. They're like the most serious things. And I don't mind a serious character showing up in She-Hulk and being serious because it's a good counterpoint. But he was like serious for like a minute, then he's like, I don't know, that's how I felt. The ending you'll like if you like Blazing Saddles, because they're very similar endings. I don't know how strongly I felt about the ending, but when it was done, I was like, okay, I was amused at many points in the episodes. I laughed out loud at certain points. But also I rolled my eyes, if as not more, at just a lot of I don't know. It's one thing if She-Hulk halfway through the episode turns towards you and goes, but it felt like every character was doing that a lot.
Hey, Tom, there's a comment here. I don't know if you know this or not, but She-Hulk was a comedy.
Well, yes, I get that it's a comedy, but it's part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it doesn't seem to fit
like
properly. Like, when we see She-Hulk in a movie, which I'm sure we will at some point, how are we supposed to take that? Because in the comics, she does those silly things sometimes in the comics, but then when she shows up in a big thing, it works. I think in the comics, they show her as a lawyer. I took the lawyer seriously, and there was an occasional silly thing, and that was fine, but there was also really cool stuff, and I thought it was a nice combo. What's interesting, I read online about this, is that Marvel already does that. The Marvel Cinematic Universe already is half funny, half serious.
Yeah.
Well, look at Guardians of the Galaxy. When that came out, people were basically in dismay, saying like, well, fantastic. Marvel's jumped the shark now. They have a talking raccoon who likes guns. And they made, in my opinion, the best Marvel movie. That's my favorite film is the Guardians of the Galaxy. And they somehow find that balance. And yes, this is something completely different. And so that's the hard thing to keep in mind, that this is just different. It's a comedy show.
Right, so what I'm saying is that I think Guardians of the Galaxy is where She-Hulk comics is. But since the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe is already at that point, they had to go farther.
They had to make it goofier.
They had to go goofier. And again, Goofy, I'm not even opposed to Goofy. Go watch the I Am Groot miniseries. That's all Goofy. I like that. It's just that this show was being goofy, but also trying to be like, we have a point to make and we're trying to be serious, but how can I take you seriously when you're being goofy? And I also thought the way they wrapped everything up was not goofy, it was stupid. And I don't know how to... It's almost like She-Hulk doesn't... If you look at it just by itself, I would like it a lot more, maybe. Like, okay, ha, ha, ha. But since it's part of... I don't know how to, like... If She-Hulk shows up in a future episode, I'm like, I don't know how to take this.
How to take you? Yeah. Huh.
So, anyhow, there's just... Again, it's a very divisive show. A lot of people really like it. In fact, I've seen people on the internet saying if you don't like the show, you have a problem, which I take a lot of umbrage with that. I'm allowed to dislike stuff without... being of any sort of thing. I love Marvel Universe, and I've read almost the entire She-Hulk run. I really like She-Hulk. It's interesting. But I don't know. I would give it a 6 out of 10. I didn't hate the show, but I just didn't love it, and I don't know if I'll go back and rewatch it. While I will go rewatch Hawkeye. I will go watch WandaVision again. I'm not going to watch Eternals. I know it's not a TV show, but I'm just throwing that in there because Eternals sucks.
It's interesting because Chris and I watched the first and the last episode, and there was nothing drawing me in to want to watch anything more.
Actually, I think the first episode is one of the best.
Really?
Yes.
We finished it, and I was like, yeah, I could watch more of this. And I looked over at Wendy, and she was like, I'm done. She was so checked out. You hated it.
Okay, it wasn't that strong, but
You are not that strong of an emotive person.
I'm not that strong of an emotive person, sure. But the CG bothered me. The whole like hyper girl power thing bothered me. I mean, there's a lot going on with her character that I just did not speak to me.
I really hope, though, that the Daredevil thing was held to that show. That when we get our Daredevil back in whatever show, that he is not that Daredevil. Because I can't take that Daredevil even a little bit seriously. And Daredevil is meant to be taken seriously. He's had a traumatic life. Anyway, I don't know. We'll see what happens here in the future.
So what you're saying is you don't want him to come out and...
Something like that. All right, let's keep going.
Hey there everyone, Jeff, your tabletop technician here on the Dice Tower, and let's hop right to it, folks, because...
It's time for Game Night Gamble!
That's right, today I want to talk about my experiences at the 2022 Dice Tower Retreat there in Miami, which of course was an incredible time, and I had a tremendous amount of fun getting to play games with people like Camilla Cleghorn, Z Garcia, Mike Delisio, and Chris Yee. Of course, I also got to experience some games for the first time, and the first new game that I played that week was Flamecraft with Mr. Charming himself, Mike Delisio. And lucky for me, this game was waiting for me upon my return from Miami, so cue the B-roll. Flamecraft is a fairly straightforward worker placement-esque game with two main actions each turn: gain a bunch of resources or spend a bunch of resources for points. But in the cloyingly cute theme of these little artisan dragons, either of these actions will have you activating one or more of these dragons to maybe get more resources, get more dragons, place dragons in a shop, and more. This game, at first, reminded me a little bit of My Little Scythe, with its cartoonish art, its playful theme, and its conspicuous insistence on kindness. I mean, the victory points in this game are represented by little pink hearts, your point trackers are hearts, and there are opportunities sprinkled all throughout the game to give resources to players or help players get additional resources one way or another. Of course, this works out pretty well when playing with children, but can get a little goofy when playing with adults who are much more prone to go, no, screw you guys, you get nothing. But juxtapositions to Barney aside, Flamecraft does present some pretty unique opportunities throughout its experience, most of which arrive in the mid to late game as players collect these fancy dragons, providing scoring opportunities either during or at the end of the game. And also as more shops are revealed in town, which initially provide less resources, but often provide very unique and often game-twisting benefits. Of course, this often happens at the end of your turn, forcing you to read all the super cool benefits of these new locations to players who will definitely get there before you do. Yeah, Flamecraft is pretty neat. And while it may take a little arm twisting to get it played with a group of older players, there's plenty here to fire up the enthusiasm of gamers of all ages. Cheers.
Yo, Charlie!
Oh, hey, yeah, what's up, man?
I got a game I think you're gonna love.
What?
It's got everything you love in one compact little game.
You got a game for me? Yo, what's up with that little hair thing right there, though?
Looks like they made it just for you. You're gonna love it.
Really? Is it a tower defense game?
Oh, yeah.
Say no more. Just say no more.
Well, no, we kind of wrote a script where it was going to be like a back and forth thing, like a call response. Oh. Where we listed all the attributes of the game.
I totally forgot.
But you kind of ruined that.
I'm sorry, man. I didn't realize we were...
By saying yes, like on the first one.
My fault, man. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, we can do this. Let's do this.
Okay, from the top. Really? A tower defense game? I didn't know.
You got it. Keep going.
Does it have dwarves?
You bet.
Is it a deck builder?
Yes.
Does it have digging?
Uh-huh.
Is it a co-op?
See.
Okay.
Keep it coming. Come on.
Can you upgrade weapons and gears?
Yes, got that.
Okay, listen, I have to ask this. Does it have combos? What?
Oh, yo.
Combos?
Yep.
Aha!
Yes!
What?
Yeah!
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's the name of the game? I have to know the name of this game. What's the name of this game?
The Siege of Runendor, created by the master game designer Rainer Knizia.
Seriously? All that buildup? And that's the name of the game?
I mean, we did this whole back and forth thing of all the amazing things it has, and that's the name of the game? Well, it's from the same guy who made Shoten Toten and Picomo and Kin. Yeah, but you did all this build up, and wait, did you say Kin? Like K-I-N? No, my kin, my cousin. It's a Q and no U. It's Q-I-N, kin. Q with no U's. Is that even allowed? I don't know. Does the teachers union know about this? I don't know, man. What do you want me to say? Just come here. Okay. Yeah.
I think Reiner Knizia is making crazy game names so that his name doesn't sound as crazy in comparison.
What? Who said that? Who said that, really? Who said that? It wasn't me. That's ridiculous. Yeah, I think the same thing too. He's totally doing that, man. He's totally doing that.
All right. Well, that's a Board Game Breakfast for you, folks. We'll be back in like 20 minutes with We'll Play It Live. So we'll see you guys then. And of course, lots of other things happening today. Until next time, though, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Wendy Yee.
I'm Chris Yee.
Don't forget the contest for tagging people. Wildstyle.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vasel and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production.